All right, so we're here and the crane is officially getting moved to the other job site. So Reed, our crane specialist, I guess you could call him, is over there getting it ready to roll. We're gonna get this thing loaded up. We're gonna take a couple counterweights on our gooseneck trailer here. I'll tow that over to our next job site. And then Reed's gonna take the rest of the counterweights on his truck. And yeah, we'll go from there. But let's watch some of the process of breaking this thing down.
To get it over this building right here.
We don't need to go all the way up?
No.
Okay.
The other thing we want to do is set up, get the trailer in a position where...
I think I'm there, but if not, I can adjust it. So there's a limit sensor basically on that part of the crane where those two bars will get squeezed together and it's gonna contact together. But it can sometimes interfere with the process of erecting the crane, so we need to basically bypass the limiter by sticking a block in it. So now that we've got the tower up enough that we can fit the crane in there, or rather the knuckle boom, we're gonna start picking off some of these counterweights. So I think we're gonna take 3 of them on our trailer, and then the 2, and then the steel plate up top will go on his truck, I'm pretty sure. That's gonna be pretty tight on length for that side. Okay. We're just double checking that our tires are up to PSI because this trailer's been sitting for a long time. We're gonna use some of Reed's chains. Really, that's the only. Really, that's honestly it. How's it going? All right, now believe me, nobody knows better than me the importance of having an online presence for your business, no matter how small it is. Now, before I get into it, special thanks to Durable for sponsoring this video. So basically, Durable is an AI-powered website builder. You can literally do it in 30 seconds, which is perfect because if you're like me, you're working in places far away, you're spending half your day driving, you want to spend the other half of your day with your family if you're not working. So that doesn't actually leave free time to design and build a website. But like I said, that's where Durable comes in. They're super helpful. Their website is super easy to use. You can literally just type in what type of business you are, what areas you're servicing, hit enter, and it's off to the races. It'll automatically generate photos related to your business. You can fine tune that as well with their library of images, as well as entering your own images if you want. It's super affordable as far as business expenses go, starting at only $12 a month. You can also use my code Kaufman30 to get 30% off your website once you're ready to publish. Their cheapest option offers a custom domain, unlimited pages and traffic. It's search engine optimized, which is perfect. Like for me, I entered that I'm in Monument, Colorado, and it puts in all these keywords that are trending in my local area. So if people are searching for a contractor in my city, I'll automatically be more likely to show up. It creates a website that works both on desktop and on mobile. It can create custom blog posts. You can even enter your own stories. You can incorporate an unlimited amount of your own contacts. You can reach out to their dedicated team. It's always available by email for support. Again, having a website is such a simple thing that is holding back so many businesses because the amount of people that are probably Googling the exact service that you offer is probably higher than you think. But if you don't have a website, let alone a good website, then you're not going to show up to them, you're not going to be able to solve those problems, and you're not going to be able to capitalize on that business. So anyways, check out Durable, guys. Use code Kaufman30 or use the link in the description. Check it out. Yeah, you as well. On the we basically need to switch the rigging because I think because it is like too close to the boom,
Yeah,
essentially.
The boom
Oh.
is going all the way up on itself, too close.
So we're putting this Pintle hitch on my truck so I can grab the generator. It's for a different kind of receiver, where on the trailer, it's basically just a hole that clicks inside here. But we were renting the generator for this project, but we don't need it for the next project. So I'm gonna bring the generator to our next project, then Reed, after he drops the crane there, can pick the generator up from there and bring it back to his shop, and he doesn't need to take 2 trips. Should I take this while we have it up? There it goes.
That way when we fold the jib tip around, it's
Right.
not going to damage the rope.
Okay.
Now, before you pull on that, I'm going to have to get up there and kind of pick those ropes up so it wraps around that horseshoe
Right.
and doesn't get caught in that joint and foobar those ropes. Now, as this thing swings around, this bar right here is going to get hung up on this weight, and all you got to do,
It's got to push back into here.
so this whole tail section from right here is going to pivot around.
But like this guy here is going to need to move back into this space here. Like to come next to the
Yes.
weight. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I told you it was still too tight.
Some of these are 2-speed.
So we've got the crane loaded up. Reed has got the crane on his truck. I've got the generator behind us. And we're now heading to the next job site, which is in Boulder. So it's about 45 minutes, but I'm following him with the crane. So we'll probably be a little slower just because he's driving a big truck. But we'll pull up there. My dad dropped the gooseneck there with all of the weights on it. And then we'll be able to get the crane set up for that other site. And what's nice is this next site doesn't actually need a generator, so we'll be able to just hardwire it. But it should be pretty sweet. So this is our site. This is gonna be a panelized, basically like a SIP panel, but with sheet metal on the outside. So this is kind of a tricky lot because we've got this steep little drive here, but we're gonna see if we can't back the crane up in here to this spot, and then the truck can pull down the hill. If that doesn't work, we have a couple other things we can try, but that's what we're gonna aim for first. So because we need to steer this crane in a way that we can't really do with the truck and trailer, we're actually gonna power up the crane. We're gonna pull the pin that locks it from rotating, and we're gonna steer the rear tires by basically keeping the boom of the crane fixed. We can rotate the crane, which will spin the axles underneath it and allow us to make this tricky turn.
A little harder. All right. I want you to swing right, okay?
All right. A little more, about a foot. That's pretty good. I mean, that's about as far back as we can go anyways.
Is that as fast as it will turn?
Yeah.
Make it full fast.
We got over a lot on that one, so maybe we swing back straight again and try to do it one more time, and maybe we can clear it. Does that make sense? And then we can do one more crab this way, and then one more back this way?
We've got to use all the space for this to execute on this one, otherwise it's not going to work.
Right.
So I think you're right on the line.
All right, now I'm obviously back in my shop, and by shop I mean my little garage, but I wanted to make this video to kind of show you guys what actually goes into the process of moving our crane from one site to the next. Now, anybody who's talked to me, whether that be in person or over DMs or through comments or whatever, knows that I'm super, super obsessed with the crane these days. It's just been a total lifesaver. In the same ways that a forklift is, I felt the same way when we first started using forklifts. It's a huge labor savings. You can move material around. You can load and unload material off of trucks. The crane is useful in all the same ways. There's only a couple areas where it's not as useful. The only things that we can't really do with the crane is it does have less capacity than a forklift, because with our forklift up close to the cab, you're looking at like 12,000 pounds capacity, whereas the crane at most up close is 4,400 pounds. And that capacity goes from the tower to the center of the jib at about 45 feet. And then from there to the tip of the jib, it goes down to about 1,500 or 1,600 pounds, which generally is more than enough weight for things we're lifting while framing. Now, some advantages of the crane in particular would be that it's remote operated. So if we're setting our own trusses, we can literally walk onto the floor, stand underneath where the trusses are going. We can talk to the guys at a regular volume. You're not yelling over a diesel motor because the crane is electrical. It's plugged straight into the power pole. Yeah, super easy to communicate, super easy to operate. It's literally, you're just moving it on a XY axis this way, and then you're moving it up and down. Super simple. The only thing we can't do with the crane, or rather we shouldn't do with the crane, is you don't want to pull or tug things. You want to lift and lower, and that's it. When it comes to yanking or pulling against resistance other than gravity itself, you really don't want to be doing that, because at the end of the day, we're working with a flexible jib. You could put enough tension on that. If something pops loose, you're now rattling crane parts, and that's just not the best move. Now, I would say the thing that's showcased in this video especially, and this is really the biggest downside of this crane, is moving from site to site. And the reason for this is these cranes have a counterweight on the back. And by weight, I mean, for us, I think it's really 5 or 6 different pieces of concrete and steel. But we have to take this thing, we have to load it on a trailer. So we need a special little semi truck to come that has a knuckle boom on it, so it can remove the counterweights, put them on a flatbed, and then we can drop the crane onto that. They do make cranes that have counterweights that are just self-contained, which basically means they don't need to be removed. They can stay on it while the crane towers down, and you can drive on to the other site with those. But our crane in particular, the counterweights span across the middle, so the tower can't go all the way down. You saw this at the end of our last video, where you can see as we're towering down, we have to stop just above the counterweights, and we can't go any further until those are removed. So that adds a little bit of tedium, I think that's a real word, to the process of moving this thing from site to site, because that's a whole other stage that we need to do before we can move it. Especially with smaller cranes, we did opt for a bigger crane rather than a smaller one for extra reach and capacity. With the smaller the crane, the easier it is to move, because you more than likely don't have to remove the counterweights. All that said, we're still looking into the possibility of making counterweights that will sit on each side, so we could still tower down with the counterweights in place, which would save us a little bit of time while moving the crane. Which is great, because the people that we bought the crane from, they're called Creative Lifting Services out of Colorado, which is local for me, but they ship nationwide. They've even done a few cranes in Hawaii, I believe, which is pretty cool. So if you check them out, tell them Jared Kaufman sent you. They know me, I know them. I don't get anything from it. I just, tell them I said hi. But yeah, that's the downside of the crane as opposed to the forklift. Is a forklift, a semi can pull up with a flatbed trailer, drive it on there, strap it down, and you're ready to roll. With the crane is the trailer. So it's a little bit harder to get it into places than it is with the forklift. But another advantage to it is, especially if you're building in the mountains like we are, you might have access to one side of the lot, and that's it. And sometimes you can't drive a forklift around the full perimeter. There could be trees or whatever. The crane is perfect for that scenario, because you can plop in one spot, reach over the trees, depending on the height of the trees. Our crane is about 65 feet from the ground to the bottom of the jib, and that will usually clear most trees. But then we have enough reach to hit all sides of the project from that one vantage point. But anyways, when it comes time to move the crane, Creative Lifting Services also provides the moving service. So they'll literally show up with the special truck. They know the cranes really well, so if there's any issues, they know how to service them. They're really all around great guys. Reed is our usual guy. He's awesome. They've also got Josiah Kelly's in the yard. They've got Mitch in the shop, who's literally a dedicated, consider him like a remote mechanic. You can call him with any question. He knows the inside and outs of each crane, and he will literally walk you through whatever needs to be done to fix it. So that's also great, and he does that for free. The only downside is, like I said, moving these things is a little bit of a process. We usually allocate an entire day to move from one project to another project, and a lot of that comes from the counterweight loading and unloading process, and just the actual driving around and stuff like that. Now, to get them moved, it's not a flat fee. You basically are paying an hourly rate for the truck driver to drive from the yard, load the crane, transport it, unload the crane, and drive back, which adds up really quickly. So that's something we're trying to get creative with, and things that we can do in-house and not have to worry about. But all in all, it's things that really need to be considered if you're looking at this, but at the end of the day, the cost savings and the abilities of this thing trumps it all, hands down. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, checking it out. I'll definitely be making some more videos on this crane, so be sure to check them out, and I'll catch you later.